I think a big part of that, and this is something we didn't talk about last episode, but I'm sure we should at some point because it ties into this stuff really interestingly, is how the role that technology plays.
Mm,
I
mm-hmm.
remember 5, 10 years ago, everybody doomer posting about how all the trades jobs were going to get automated and all the factory workers and all of that. That everybody, this is why we need what was that? What was Bernie Sanders' thing? Everybody gets everyone gets money. What do they call that?
Oh,
Universal
universal
basic
basic
income.
income.
Uh, Luckily, it seems to be the case that all of the white collar jobs are getting automated
Yeah.
because, doing spreadsheets, that's something a computer can do. Trying to fit pipes, beneath your floors that's all rotted out because the toilet's been leaking. Like, that's something a robot's not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You need a guy who knows how to do that.
Mm-hmm. That's the blue collar jobs are
That's the
a
way to
guy
go, man.
who's working for himself in a blue collar job has a life and a decision making process and responsibility and authority much more like either a high level manager or an owner of a company.
Not to
Just
mention, the average tradesman is something like in their 50s, late 50s, or something like that. So these guys are going to be leaving the workforce in the next 10, 20 years, which means there's going to be nobody. So if you get
mm-hmm.
into a trade, at that point, you can literally charge whatever you want.
Yeah, because a lot of
It'll be really
this is
lucrative.
actually a legitimate problem. Like this is something that we need to be preparing for. Our, like whether it's preparing in a sense of learning the trade so you can go do it yourself, or preparing in a sense of like shitty stuff's going to happen and you need to be prepared to deal with it. A lot of the
At the very
infrastructure,
least, become friends with a guy who knows how to do the stuff.
right. A lot of the infrastructure is maintained by people who don't have replacements coming up behind them. So the infrastructure is bad now. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. There's the meme that goes around that's it shows like this really big, gigantic, elaborate like house of cards kind of. And the whole thing is being held up by one little brick down here. And it says something like it's like some maintenance worker on a server in Nebraska who's been doing it for 35 years. And he just has his menial job that he goes and he does, and he just does it over and over
He's the
again.
only
And
one in the world who knows how to do it.
right. And he's going to get hit by a bus or die of a heart attack or something. And no one in the world is going to know how to do this. All of a sudden, we're going to have like, it's like, why did the Romans stop using the aqueducts? Why did they stop maintaining these sorts of, why did all their technology fall apart? And in part, it's because of this, because eventually the generational dynamics are such that nobody's going to know how to take care of all the infrastructure. And you can look at this as oh, everything's going to fall apart and suck and be terrible and it's going to be Mad Max, and you can whine and cry and black pill about it, or you can say look at all this opportunity. This industry is going to be mine. All of the competitors in this industry are dying. This industry is going to be mine. I'm going to own this industry, and I'm going to be the one who can innovate and create the infrastructure that I want. And I think that's the response to have to these sorts of things. I think this is
very king pilled.
Yes. This is the king pilled vision, is to inspire people, first of all, to see this. Because I think there's two problems at work here. One of them is we've got people who see this coming and don't want to do anything about it except cry on the internet. And the other side of it is people who don't see this coming, who are just kind of happily dancing their way through life and don't realize that they're floating down the river and there's a big waterfall up ahead. So there's kind of two there's kind of two purposes to what we're saying here, which is if you're one of the people who's just naively, just kind of blissfully unconcerned with the future, honestly, that's not terrible. If you just kind of have this relentless optimism and you don't care, you're just going to figure out how to get your way through it. Great. That's a great perspective to have.
That must be nice.
It likely is going to mean that you're going to really depend upon the people who are doomed or who are doom pilling. The doomers are going to have to carry your ass through these things, but hey, that's fine. We can work out some kind of an exchange here where you give us lots of money and we carry you through we carry you through this era. But I want to inspire people in both directions. I want to get the people who don't realize how serious things are. What's the term that they don't know what time it is? I want them to know what time it is. Increasingly, that's becoming a smaller and smaller number of people. People are starting to realize what time it is. But I think that the biggest, I don't know, demonic attack that we're susceptible to right now is doom pilling.
Yep.
I think doom pilling, black pilling, if you're pessimistic about the future, keep it to yourself. Go die in a corner by yourself. If you're pessimistic, why? You're choosing to be. You don't have to choose to be. It doesn't matter how much how brutal the collapse is. The collapse is not going to be brutal for everyone. The collapse is going to be brutal for the people who aren't prepared for it. For the people who are prepared for it, the collapse is going to be a massive source of wealth and prosperity because they're positioned to catch it. And power, because with wealth and prosperity becomes power.
Shout out to archotropism.
Yes. Shout out Popular Liberty. I don't know if he goes by Popular Liberty anymore. Now I see him on Twitter. It's papal orthodoxy, which is, I suppose we can allow him to use the term orthodoxy because we like him, but you better be careful, bub.
Yeah.